Tēnā koutou katoa. This is Heather with Mana Polynesia, and today I'm revealing a family secret, and that is how to make an artificial piu-piu for very little money. You can buy already made artificial piu-piu. They're still quite expensive. Not as expensive as a real piu-piu, but they cost a lot, especially if you want to outfit a whole group. And having piu-piu just really make your dances, your action songs, your poi, your haka, it just makes it look and sound better because they make a sound. They're part of dancing. So I've loved having them. So here are the items that you'll need. You'll need black yarn, black pony beads. These are just at the craft store. These ones I ordered online through Aloha Hula Supply. It's an artificial bamboo bead, and you can make an entire piu-piu out of these, but I found that it's just too heavy. The weight doesn't let them spin around very fast. So I use them as sort of an anchor at the bottom. Okay, so these are about 2 inches. They come in black or natural. This is the real secret ingredient. This is another artificial bamboo. If you were alive in the 70s and 80s, you probably saw blinds on the windows made from these. This is what it looks like. So I had a heck of a time finding this. I looked all over online and finally just found it at the local hardware store. So that's where you might find yours. If I find an online source, I'll put it down below. But once you get one of these, you can cut them either using scissors, or if you have a rotary cutter and board, that's also nice. I cut mine to be about 1.5 inches long, but you can choose whatever length you want. For the waistband, you need, I used a 2-inch ribbon, so you can kind of see the texture that I used. Here's the brand I happened to get, but whatever you get, it's 2 inches wide. Let's see if I can flip it over to the back so you can see. Actually, sorry, it's only 1.5 inches wide. And painter's tape, masking tape, some kind of cord for tying it on. You want something that has some texture to it that's not slippery so that it doesn't slide off. The last thing you'll need would be a needle that has a big eye to the needle so that you can get yarn through that. So this is a long needle, but just the most important thing is to make sure that it can fit yarn through its head. I forgot to mention you do need a sewing machine. A regular sewing machine will be just fine. This baby is my new favorite. It's a heavy duty sewing machine. It's usually only around $150 at Joann Fabrics. That's the local fabric store in the States usually. But this one I got on sale after Christmas for even less than that, and it has been fabulous, especially when stitching together thick stuff. I mean, I stitched over this cord in the waistband and had no issues. It's fabulous. Once you've got all of your materials assembled, you want to choose the design you want to do for your piu-piu. So I recommend looking at real piu-piu. And you can see that every tribe, every iwi, they all have their own special designs. You can see on, this one, it's got short little pieces and then it's got long ones. I decided to go with something like this. This is from the Polynesian Cultural Center, just very simple. I'm not going for anything crazy. And the length is very important. For women, it needs to go to the bottom of the knee. Don't have short piu-piu on women. For males, it can go to the top of the knee or a little shorter. Again, refer to real piu-piu. Look at the lengths of the real ones and base it off of that. You want to cut up the bamboo. It's very easy. You can do it with scissors like this. And you can just eyeball it. Or if you have rotary cutter, you can line it up on a grid and cut it exactly 1.5 inches. Next, you'll cut out pieces of yarn that are 60 inches long. Hardest part is threading the yarn. If you do this in a group, which I recommend, and you have someone who's good at threading the yarn, just have them thread the yarn for everybody else. Some people are really good at it. So you get one end in there with, a couple inches. Get one bead on. Then here's the trickier part. You've got to get this through the eye as well. You can do things like cut. Oh gosh. You can cut it, you can wet it, whatever your trick is to get it through the eye. Just get it in there, okay? So I've got 2 pieces through now. I've got this as my anchor at the bottom. I'm going to add the heavier plastic one from Aloha Hula Supply. Or if you can find them somewhere else, go for it. I tried searching a while back and didn't have a whole lot of luck. Put on a bead. Now for me, for my women's ones, I did about 10 of the lightweight beads. For the men, I did about 8. So I'm working on a men's one right now. And so I need about 8 pieces, but just string them on fast. The key is to do fast because otherwise you're never going to get this done. Just got to get it done. Speaking from experience, I made these before I had kids and then I had 4 kids. Just everything takes longer. Projects get pushed back. Okay. Alrighty, so I just string them on any old way, and then you can go back and just gently pull the plastic bamboo down so that it's close. If you string them on too hard, they can just get like stuck in jagged ways. So you really want to give them, you want to give each piece its own little space so that it's, you know, like an actual joint and can move and can lay flat. Okay, so you can see how that makes a difference. There we go. Oh, another thing I'll point out is that you know, adult ones can take a little bit of time. So if you have a toddler that you'd like to make one for, that is a nice way to start out, just to experiment. This was my first Piupiu I ever made. I added fun things like glow-in-the-dark beads because I thought that would be cool. What I discovered though was that this is actually pretty heavy. So for my adult ones, I ended up just doing 1 bead because those beads can get heavy and you want the Piupiu to move. Line up your strands evenly. It doesn't matter how far apart they are, just do it evenly. The real Piupiu are very close together, so it all depends on your time, patience, all of that. As I sew this, I'm sewing on the ribbon. So I'm just sewing the yarn and the ribbon. I'm avoiding my tape because that will mess up my needle. Also, you don't want this to get all slanted. You want to have it straight out while you sew. Go ahead and sew along the top side too. I'm still pulling the yarn straight out and I'm just sewing right outside the blue line. Okay, next, before we sew on the top part, I'm going to go ahead and go in and snip off these strands. You can leave them and just sew on the other ribbon, but if you cut it afterwards, you'll see this fluffy stuff right here. No one will see it, no one will care, but maybe you care. So I recommend snipping it before you sew on the other ribbon layer. Our last step is going to be to attach the other side of the ribbon for the waistband. But before we can do that, we need to attach the rope that we're going to use to tie it on. So what you're going to do is take the end of the ribbon, the rough side, just fold it in slightly so that it makes a nice edge. You want to stick the rope so that it goes, you're going to want to stitch at least 2 inches, I would say. And this machine has been awesome for going through thick stuff. I am not regretting this purchase. So you want to use a zigzag stitch. I'm starting with a really wide one, and then I'm going to do some narrow ones. But first, I'm just going to go over this a million times. So use your zigzag or whatever you want to use and just sew it in there really well. I'm going to go reverse. My last step is going to be adding the top ribbon. So I'm going to make sure that this is nice and folded in. I'm going to take this one, fold it slightly, line it up, and then I'm going to start with another zigzag just so I can make sure to catch it with that rope really well, and then I'm going to switch to a straight stitch and go along the top and along the bottom. Okay, you've done all this work, you've made your piu piu, you love them. Now you got to make sure that you take care of them. So the way that I do it, you can either do a nylon like how they do with real piu piu and just wrap that around, or this is faster, I think. You just take some fabric, 49er fabric works great, and you just simply roll it. Okay, roll it nice and tight. I don't have two hands because I'm holding the phone. Okay, roll it up and put it somewhere in a bin so that it's nice and safe.